Hey, we made it. Look at us go.
Are we here?
We are, somehow.
Are we here? We're finally
Allegedly.
doing it.
I guess. If we have to, somebody's got to. I guess we're lucky enough to figure it out. So that's what we're here for. We're going to help you guys figure it out because this is an episode that football season right around the corner. We're coming up on it faster than expected.
We're not testing our new streaming setup at all.
Not at all. This
Not
is
at all.
not for fun. This is not for nothing. We're just here. Hey, gotta love that. There's good old Steve. Love that he was able to help. Except for this is gonna be a mess. This is how that's gonna work, huh?
Boy, we got that fourth wall. Just
brutal.
We're nothing if not professionals here.
Absolutely. This is all for fun. We're just trying to figure it out as we go. So, can't tell. Jason Draven, Neil Smith, we're here. We're gonna help you figure out what is going on in this crazy world. Everybody's getting cut. They're finally making the rosters. Nothing is what it looked like last year. So it's all for fun. We're gonna figure this out. It'll be fine. In theory, not quite sure how, but eventually it will be fine. Just how it is. I don't know.
It'll be fine or it won't.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the binary choices.
All the fire in the world can't fix this. We're just gonna hope for the best and whatever. So, woo. Yeah. All right. So the whole point of this, besides us just completely, figuring this out, trying our best. Yeah. We'll figure it out eventually. Is just that we want to help you guys with fantasy football. So, with that in mind, I've asked people, just been kind of curious that, never know how it's going to look. So, we're going to start with basic. What is a league type? So, for most people, this is going to be, one, the size of your league. This is going to be a very important part of every day. This is going to be 10, 12, 14, 16, PPR, half PPR, standard scoring. I mean, there's a lot of different things. Super flex, any number of these is going to be what your league is. More likely, if I had to guess, if you've been here before, you're hopefully in a PPR league. Otherwise, sorry. That's our preferred method of scoring.
You're all over the road. What's PPR mean? If we're doing this as you've laid it out, what does that mean?
Well, see, and this is why we have to do it. So, PPR is point per reception. So that means anytime a person or player, tight end, running back, wide receiver catches the ball, you get a point. Now, you usually get additional points after that, depending on how many yards they go. That could be a different scoring setting completely. So those are the kind of things that somewhat matter.
But Jason, does it have to be an entire point, or could it be sections of a point?
It could be a section of a point. I mean, they have a half PPR. I've seen randomly 0.75 PPR for tight ends only.
I actually, when you pitched this idea to me, like 2 days prior, I was helping a friend of mine, and he hands me his phone, and he was playing in a 0.2 PPR league. 0.2. And I'm like, all right, that's just pointless. You get it? You get it? All right, I'm out of here. I'm done. See y'all.
We've given up.
Season. See y'all next season. It's the funniest I'll ever be. So he was playing in a he was playing in a 0.2 PPR league, and I will be honest, I have never seen that before.
Yeah, it's the number of different things that have popped up has been just crazy. I mean, they keep getting more specific. Now, some point for first down. You get X amount of points for a first down, which is great. If you are in that kind of league, running back. Found more often than not, running backs are the ones who get the first downs. Just random stats that nobody cares about. Makes it your league very niche, but just how it kind of works. Uh-oh. Okay, Steve. Why? See, this is so much fun.
Yeah, it's always used to pay people for this until they wanted too much money. Right, your congressman.
I wish it was that simple. But so that's just one of the things. I guess easy way if you haven't. Hopefully, well, this should be your last weekend. More likely, between now and next week, you will be drafting. If you've already drafted, I'm sorry, but you really need to know what your league settings are because that's a big part of your life, and will really differentiate from who you're going to be drafting at different points.
Yeah, we're getting to the point where this is all wrapping up. So Jason referenced there's a lot of trades and cuts and things happening. That's because we just went through the what we call cut down day for anybody who might be new. And what that is when the rosters, which are 90 slots in the off season, compressed down to 53 for in-season work. So there's a lot of cuts, and then there's also a lot of trades because rather than cut players, there are certain scenarios with certain players where there's lots of different players that rather than cut them, they might actually be worth something to someone else, and they'll be willing to give you. It's not a lot usually, but they'll be willing to give you a 5th, 6th, 7th round pick, whether it's in the next draft or the one after that. So that's why you're seeing a lot of trades this year, Jason. I will say we've seen a lot more trades than even I was anticipating. It just feels like almost double the trades that we normally see. Lots of trades this year.
Well, and even it's for nothing. That's the weirdest part of it. Is like it's for Adam Thielen.
Harrison Bryant, who they then cut.
Yes.
They literally traded for Harrison Bryant, traded a player for him, and then just cut him. And it's like this. It is a little. It's a little. To quote. I don't want to get a copyright strike.
Uh-oh. You're trying to get into trouble already.
To quote a Canadian that is on Netflix, "You're real awkward, bud." Like that's I'm not going any deeper. That's fine. That's good enough. That's good. I didn't say who it was. But that's the situation in the background. Lots of trades that are happening right now. And to a new person, I'm sure that could be confusing. But Jason is onto something where I literally just had to have this conversation with someone who's like a casual fantasy football player when I was helping them get ready for their draft. So the first thing to note is what Jason said. You need to know how many people are in your league because that plays a large role into how your strategy is going to work. The next thing that I would say that you need to know is how many total players do you roster on your team? And then what does that chunk out as? And then you need to multiply that. Once you've arrived at that, so let's say you start a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, 1 flex, a defense, and a kicker. That's 1, 2, 1, 3, 5, 6, 7. That's 8, right? So you're going to start like 8. Well, then how many bench spots do you have? Let's say that's 8 again. So you're at 16. And let's say there's 1 IR slot. So what the reason why that matters is that means that the maximum amount of players that any team could roster is 17. So if we scale that out, let's say you play in a 10-team league. It's 170 players would be coming off the board. That matters when you're looking at rankings, because a lot of people don't think about that, which is especially when they're new. They don't consider the idea that I don't really need to know who the 230th player is in these rankings at this point because it's just honest to God never going to be relevant. Like it's virtually not going to matter. So you really only need it'll save you time. If you know what your league settings are going in, you only need to prep for 170 players. That's it. You don't really need to pay attention to anything past 200. So you don't need to worry about it. It will save you a tremendous amount of time as you're trying to get things together because a lot of people don't think to do that math.
Yeah, and I mean, again, we can make it even tighter. You look at an 8-team league, which we go really, really small. More often than not, that's going to be super flex. So for those who don't know, super flex means you can put quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, running back in your flex spot. Flex spot is just an extra spot usually on your roster that is an active player that clearly is any one of those positions.
It's someone you'll start, and what flex means is it means exactly what it sounds like it means. It is flexible. So in a lot of leagues, you can put a running back, a wide receiver, or a tight end. What Jason is talking about is that specifically in the format called Superflex, you could play a quarterback in addition to those other positions. And if you are playing in Superflex, you would want to play a quarterback in those, in almost all scenarios.
Yeah.
Like
More
that's
often
really
than not,
what it
that's
is.
what that will be.
There's a reason that the other name for Superflex is 2 QB league. So if someone tells you that if someone tells you that you're in a 2 QB league, that's what they mean Superflex. Almost 95+% of the time. That's what they typically mean. So you've got that to contend with as well. So it's important to know what kind of format you're in. And that's why when people tell you I am in a 10-team standard league. That means they're in a 10-team league that does not count points per reception. If I say to you I'm in a 12-team PPR league, that means I'm in a league with 12 teams that does some kind of point per reception, right? I know this is all review for like the vast majority of people, but believe it or not, this is valid because when I interact with people in the real world, especially people that are like, and I get this a lot. I don't know that this, Jason, I'm sure you get this too. People just hand me their phone.
Yeah, you're like, here, do this.
That's I get that a lot. Where people are just like, here, and it's almost like a little kid trying to show you their new Power Ranger, and I'm like,
Cool.
what do you want me to do? Like, and they're like, what do you think about this? What does this mean? And they're literally like scrolling through, and I'm like, all right, well, let's pull up your league settings, and you'd be surprised. That's why when Jason pitched me this idea, I'm like, this is actually a good idea because I'm literally living it. I'm literally living this right now with people where I just had to go through this and I'm like, well, pull up your league settings. And they're like, my what? And I'm like, yeah, here. And I'm like, see this? This all matters. This is where you start. You got to read through all of this and try to understand it. And if you have questions about this, you need to ask them before you start drafting because it will change the advice that you're given. It will change how you are scored, and it changes like how many positions you start. It makes all the difference because it gets very complicated very quickly, as Jason kind of tipped his hand to with the super flex thing, because there's other flavors of this as well, which we'll get into later, just to confuse the living crap out of everyone. But the main types at this point are PPR of some flavor, whether it's half point
Quarter
or full point. Those are the two most common. It's half and let's not confuse this anymore.
Okay.
It could be any number. It could be any number.
Arbitrary number inserted here.
The most common two are half point PPR and full point PPR. That is the vast majority of fantasy leagues at this point. There's also what they call standard, which we've joked for years.
Yeah, we call it
no point.
There you go.
Because you literally get no point, and we would argue that there's no point in playing in it. It's called standard because that was the old default setting from years and years and years and years gone by.
For every fantasy site.
That's why we've tried to rename it, because standard does not really apply anymore. It's not the standard. The standard is now PPR.
It's PPR.
Right. So just to make it nice and confusing for everyone.
Yeah.
That's how that works. So those are the two. So the first thing you need to know is how many people are in your league, and then do you play PPR or not?
Yeah.
Everything after that, everything else is after that. That's where it goes. Because I would argue the third piece of information you need early is, okay, how many total roster spots do I have between my starters and my bench? You got to do that math to know how many players you're going to be working with. And then, do you have an IR slot? Is the next question. Do you get? If not, could they add them?
What is
because
an IR
playing
slot?
without? So an IR slot's a good question. An IR slot is for injured. An IR slot is for injured reserve. So it's what it means literally. It's what IR means, injured reserve. So depending on your league settings, anyone who is hurt, and this gets tricky, so I'm going to keep it high level. But what it generally means is anyone who is hurt can go in that IR slot. That's generally what it means.
Okay. Which, again, depending on your league, could actually be. I mean, for example, Rashi Rice, we found out today, suspended for the first 6 games.
Yes. In
Some
most
people,
leagues, suspended is not hurt.
correct.
So in most leagues, he will not be IR eligible. Now, a different example would be Joe Mixon. We found out that Joe Mixon is going to miss the first 4 games of the season yesterday. Joe Mixon is hurt. He is literally going on injured reserve. By every definition, Joe Mixon can go in your IR slot. I don't know any league that wouldn't allow that at this point. There are some scenarios where I think I could see where Jason's building, where they let you put suspended players in there. That is not normal. It is worth checking on that because it changes your draft order. If I'm allowed to put suspended players, the reason your IR slot matters is because it gives you an extra roster spot. So for as long as that person is hurt, they can live in your IR slot, and you can you get an extra roster spot to play with, which comes in handy. So you really want to take advantage of those when you can. To the point that we recommend every league play with at least 1 IR slot.
Yeah.
Nothing sucks more than not having IR slots and then having to cut someone you were actually intent on keeping just to be with under the roster cap. It's very sad. That feels bad. That's a sad day. No one wants to do that. And also, it's annoying because you're giving someone else in your league an option of picking up the player you were going to keep. It's not fun.
Yeah, and so, I mean, you kind of touched on it, but you have a player who's hurt. You can put him in the IR, allows you to pick somebody else up. What's an undroppable player?
Oh, God, I haven't thought about that in years because we don't play that crap. An undroppable player is crap. It's a crap rule. It's a crap system. I have stronger words that are not PG-13 that I would like to use here. It is the dumbest thing that I'm so glad we don't play. We do not condone this or recommend it. There are some fantasy outlets that have what's called an undroppable list, which is what Jason's getting at, which means there are certain players that you are physically, if you draft them, are unable to drop them until they are removed from the undroppable list. And that is, in the nicest possible way I could express that, short-sighted. That's the nicest way I can term this. I do not like. I cannot be more clear about. I do not like that rule set, and no one should play it. And I would personally not play in a league with an undroppable list.
Yeah, but again, it's something to know.
It is something to know.
Trying to cast a wide net. So.
I haven't thought about that I haven't thought about that since like 2009, because that's an old ESPN rule, as I remember it. Yeah. I don't even know if they still do that.
Again, I'm just throwing stuff out because I know that occasionally I've seen it. I've been a part of. I think it was that 4 years ago. I remember trying to drop somebody and it said undroppable. It's like, well, that kind of sucks. So
quit. I'll just quit the league. That's fine. It'll be my last year playing with y'all.
Yeah,
we'll go find someone else
to drop somebody else to try and pick somebody. It's a mess.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
So, speaking of picking up and dropping people, waiver wire. Like what? This is where you have all the people who aren't signed on a team. Kind of an important thing to know.
Those people are called free agents.
Yeah. Another important part of this is to know when you can pick up and drop people. Usually you're allowed to drop them whenever, but your day that waivers run could be Tuesday, could be Wednesday, could be every day. I mean, these are some things that you'll need to know as a fantasy football player.
Some places don't even. Some leagues I've been in just literally don't even do it by the day. You can just waiver claim whatever. So some it's like the Wild West. You can drop anybody whenever you want. You can pick anybody up whenever you want. It's first come, first serve. I don't recommend that. We ran into a lot of problems with that particular choice when we did that because people have no self-restraint. And also, you'd love to live in a world. Well, there's that, but you'd also love to live in a world where people have integrity. But we don't live in that world, as I've learned over the years, where some people will do really shady things, like going in and picking up and dropping everyone. because when you do that, it locks them for like a day, and that prevents anyone from being able to make any waiver claims at all. And because it was within the rules, because there was no specific rule against it, people would do it. I have some choice words for that individual. That was years ago, and I still am mad about it. I will be mad about that until 5 years after I'm dead. That's where I'm at with that. That's one of my. It's like it scarred me and it annoyed me in such a way that it frustrated me so badly that I still remember it. I still remember that because I still play fantasy football with the individual that was doing that, and I still judge them for it. Years later, I can't get over it. I don't know that I ever will. It wasn't something that would ever even have occurred to me that you could do that. And that's like that person's way of gaming the system. And then we had to go in and put guardrails around that for future years. So fun times.
Yeah.
But to Jason's point, most leagues don't work that way. Waivers run on a set day. And what the process is, it's called submitting a waiver claim. So there's going to be a list of free agents, and then you go in and you pick the one that you want. And if you have an open roster spot, you can just click the little plus sign that's next to their name. Pretty much every website uses a plus sign. I don't know why, but they do. So you click the little plus sign, and then that goes into your queue. And then you can have multiple, and they go in order, and you can adjust the order. It's called the waiver order. And there you go. And then on the set day and time, that will run in the background. The website that hosts you will do that for you. And then when you go look, whoever you were successful in grabbing will be on your roster. But you can't go over the roster cap limit. Remember, that's why we brought up you need to know how many roster spots you have, because you can never exceed the total number. You have to have a valid spot. Otherwise, you have to drop someone in order for your waiver claim to process. You could do that simultaneously. So if you don't have enough room, the website will likely tell you, you have to drop a player to process this transaction. So that's fine. You just have to be sure that you select the right player you actually want to drop. And this is one of the things that makes waivers kind of a weekly chore, if I'm honest, because if you have a lot of leagues, if you have one league, it's not that big of a deal. If you have a lot of leagues, it can get time consuming because you're sitting there like, oh, I need this, but who do I cut? I don't know. Like you got to sit there and think about it. And you can get in the weeds pretty quickly. That's why Jason and I, we get a lot of questions. I know we talked about it. We get a lot of questions around this. Like you wouldn't think about it too much when you're new, especially, but like one of the questions that we get probably right near the top of the page is, who should I drop? Give me, like, here's a list of players. Who do I cut? And it's like, oh God, okay, I see what this question's about. So we get that a lot. So Jason, is that the only way that waivers work, or is there another way that waivers work?
Well, yeah, of course. It's another system called Fab.
Fabulous.
Yeah, it is fabulous because it's a free auction,
free agent acquisition budget, free agent is what it means.
Auction.
No, it's agent because it's their free agents. It's free agent acquisition budget. That's what it means. So it's FAAB.
Yeah, Fab. But it's not fabulous. So usually, beginning.
That's just the way to live your life. It is fabulous because this is how you live. This is the real way to do waivers. This is how the pros do it.
Yeah,
that's the right way.
And it's
not this unlimited waiver claim malarkey. That's for children.
You can still get away with it. You just have to put a $0 bid in.
No. and in my leagues, that's illegal. It has to be at least $1. It has to be at least $1. It has to be at least $1.
So not real money, thankfully. It's just money that is allotted to your team for the entire year.
Don't give me ideas. Don't give me a real idea. I will mandate that so fast. I will make people. You know what? That's a great idea. That's the best idea I've heard in 3 years. I love that idea. We're absolutely doing that. Make these animals spend real money to process these. Real close to having to get censored right there.
That'd be rough. Like, so thankfully you don't have to pay. It's just a part of your everyday. It's given to you at the beginning of the year. It could be 100, it could be 200, it could be 1,000. It's whatever. And then, as Neil said, for his league, it's you have to put in at least $1. Most leagues there's going to be a $0 bid, thankfully. More likely, it's, for example, it gives everybody an equal opportunity to get the best player if a player in front of them goes down.
Money talks, baby. You want them, you got to pay. Stack that cash.
Yeah.
$0 crap.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of last year who was one of the hot targets for people really just spending everything.
Isaac Garendo.
Yeah, I guess with CMC
Isaac
being
Garendo.
out, yeah.
Isaac Garendo was the big blow all your fab budget. That was like week 5, and people were like, blow it all on Garendo. And you know what? They were right for about 5 weeks until Garendo himself went down, and then we see the downside to blowing all your fab budget on one player. So that's. But that happens every year, where there's always there's a handful of players that people are like, spend it all, blow the wad. Isaac Garendo was last year's big one that immediately leaps to mind. Isaiah Likely later, yeah.
Well, yeah, after week 1 when he had his big game, I guess that Andrew wasn't doing anything.
It was probably like the first 5 weeks of the season, actually.
Yeah,
because Andrews had a really slow start because he was coming off that injury. That's a good one. I forgot about that. That's a good one. I say I forgot. I might have just mentally blocked it out. It's tight end.
Yeah, it was
a tight end.
Yeah, you don't care.
It's tight end. I don't care. It's like.
Yeah, it's a onesie position.
Put any random name. As we learned, you could literally spin the wheel of tight ends, and you would have the exact same effectiveness as anything else. So I don't know if we're gonna do that again this year, but it mostly because it was just time consuming. It was funny, but I don't know if we're gonna. We also kind of ran that joke into the ground pretty effectively.
You liked it.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I'm saying it took forever.
Yeah. We don't have to spin it until it's empty.
I don't know. That was the fun part, was running it into the ground. The other part of it. Anyway, let's move on. No one remembers the wheel of tight ends. They remember the Mark Sanchez hot dog conversation, but that's because that's an all-time conversation. So since we're doing the show this way, there's this guy named Mark Sanchez that I'm kidding. I assure you, I'm kidding. We're not going to do that here.
Known for butt fumble, No.
He's known for eating hot dogs on the sideline and then being asked to stop, and then he started smuggling more hot dogs out in his uniform. It's a long story. We'll tell it again later on a different day. So with Fab, do you get more?
If you blow it all
and that's a good question. Does your league allow for that?
These are things you have to know.
Yeah.
This is why that's one of the first things you guys need to do is go and look at what your rules are for your league. For example, there is a league trade deadline. That means after that point, no more trading is allowed. So it completely stops everything.
Yeah, the better leagues have what's called a league constitution, which
like
is all of the rule. Yes, which is which has all of the rules spelled out formally. And you're not just interpreting the league settings. This has all of the information about the league on a document that everyone who is in the league can access. That's really what you want. If you're playing in a league that has a formal league constitution, you should feel better about the people you're playing with, because it means at least the people who are running the league are taking it very seriously. So not every league has a constitution. It's something that I know Steve, who's kind of lurking in the background. We very much recommend this. Get write a constitution. It doesn't need to be like super involved and detailed, but you really want to write this junk down, because the last thing I want to do is have to spend my time combing through the league settings only to find out that the answer to my question is not there. And then we have to go ask people. It's better if this is all just written down and distributed before the league even starts. And anybody who's new gets a copy. And if you're going to play, you should read that. You should really read it and try to understand it. I know reading is yucky. People don't want reading. They want
TLDR.
A 30-second video that summarizes it for them. I'm not bitter about that at all, by the way. Just like the guy picking up and dropping people off waivers, I'm not bitter about the fact that people won't read anything that anyone writes anymore either. No, never. So that's the situation is have a constitution. But to Jason's point, uh you have to go through and go through the league settings at a bare minimum and really understand that and ask your questions on the front end on your way in the door, as many as you can. You're not going to get them all, obviously, but for example, like anything that's as basic as anything we've covered so far into what I would call a more advanced question, which is like, do we use fab? This is a fab league. Can I trade for more fab? If you ask somebody that question, they're going to look at you and be like, oh, okay. Oh, okay, you're real. You're like a real person. Cause that's not a beginner question. That's like you've been around the block once or twice. Because what we mean is there are some leagues where if you spend all of your free agent acquisition money, you can actually trade people for more free agent acquisition money. And I like that as a general rule. I am fine. I am good with that. How do you feel about that, Jason? Do you think that should be allowed or not allowed?
I mean, it's again, I it's fine. I don't love. I like Fab in general, but
I think Fab is the way to go.
yeah,
Like I think that's indisputable from all my experience. Like Fab is just a better system. It's fairer.
yeah, because
Fab is
everybody
just
gets a
more
shot
fair.
at it. It's not
Yeah,
based on.
everybody gets a shot. I'm not sure about this $0 communist crap you're over here talking about, but that sounded a lot like socialism, and I don't know. And unlike a lot of people, I actually know what that word means. And so it's like I'm so close to getting
I know
canceled today. I'm right on the cusp of it.
You're really pushing it.
I'm getting there. I'm right on the. Normally I have the dump button, and I'll dump Jason when he gets too close to the line. I can tell he's got his hand over the dump button like I usually do. Like he's gonna say it's happening. Like you got to go to what I call the penalty box. You got to go to the penalty box for a little while because you're getting too spicy. But we're I don't know about that $0 thing to finish my thought. But outside of that, I think everybody should have to put some skin in the game if you want to bid. But I think Fab as a rule is better because, to Jason's point, it is more fair and everybody gets a shot. So it's all about who's willing to spend the most. Like that's how, and I think that's the most egalitarian way to do this. Within that, I am fine with allowing people the flexibility of trading players or draft picks even to acquire free agent monies. We could debate whether or not that's a good idea, like for your team or for the future of your franchise
It's
in
just so
Dynasty.
risky, man.
It is risky, but I think people should have the option.
That's fair. I like having the money. That I'm greedy. As you can tell in even our league, I am the cheapest person.
You're greedy, and you're also the cheapest person I've ever met in my entire life. Jason's the kind of person who would ask you to Venmo him $2.36. Like that's exactly who you're dealing with. That's Jason. He's like for everybody has that number to where it's like if it's under that number, I don't care. Jason's number I think is like $3. Like Jason's like, hey, can you Venmo me like 286? And it's like yeah, I guess, but sure. And it's got to be like it's going to be specific. It's not going to be a rounded number. It's going to be like $2.64 is
yes,
is
you owe me
like,
this amount.
to the penny.
That's I don't want to see what the problem is here.
Because it's not necessarily a problem. It's just that's who you're dealing with. That's who you're taking advice from. Just know that. Like it's if for those of us who are older and grew up watching The Simpsons, there's an episode of The Simpsons where Homer squeezes a penny so hard that it goes into his hand and starts traveling up his wrist. That's Jason. That's Jason. Just squeeze that penny. Jason doesn't like spending money, even if it's fantasy football monopoly money that doesn't mean anything.
Yes, because you never know when you have to have the money to pay for somebody that is going to be your next QB. I mean that's how I work it. It's like
It's a 2 QB league. I don't care about quarterback either. That doesn't matter. That stopped mattering a long time ago.
Or a top running back. You never know.
There you go.
Okay.
That's more. It's more like the Isaac Garendo thing.
Yeah.
It's more like I rostered CMC. I am in deep doo-doo. I need this or my season might be over.
which could also
I
be
am
just because
going
one of your players went on IR. Like,
right. That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
You spent a first round draft pick on this individual. They are hurt. Their backup is going to be available on waivers. Everyone is going to be bidding for this because it has so much value. You need to win more than anyone else does because this is your replacement. Spend the money. And that's why I'm saying spend what you feel you need to spend. Dump the wad if you have to. But that's why I like giving people the option to try and get money back later.
yeah.
I like giving people the flexibility. Also, I like giving people the rope and watching them like just, I didn't tell you what to do. I just gave you the rope. You hung yourself. You know what I mean? I just handed you the rope. That's not on me. Like, so because I've watched people do that before. They'll blow all their fab money, make a bad trade to get more fab money, blow that fab money.
Yeah, no, it's definitely nice to have for.
It's not my job to police you.
Yeah,
That's
fair. Okay, more importantly though, all right, it's draft day. What are we looking for? I mean, that's a part of the reason you need to know your settings, but one, you need to know where you're drafting in your draft order, whether that's spot 1 through 8, 9, 10, 12, wherever.
The guy I referenced earlier that I was helping over the weekend, Jason, they do the lottery right before the draft, and it's a random number, so you can't prep. They assign you your number randomly.
Don't like that.
5 minutes before the draft starts, and I was like, I hate that. I was like, I hate that rule. Like, I would literally be telling them every year I want a different rule because that rule sucks. So if that's the rule that you out there in listener land are using, that rule sucks. I said it. I'll say it again. Like that rule is butt.
Yeah.
There are way better ways to do that. And I think that rule that I just referenced would be inherently unfair.
Yeah. And again, part of that is you have to mock draft, which really allows you to go through at any position, number of teams. You'll do it usually against computers. You can do it against other live people if you want, but that kind of messes things up a little more. But overall, you're able to mock. You can pick where you're drafting from, set up it as it's almost like your league, and go through. Ideally, first round, you're probably looking at a non-1Z position, which is quarterback or tight end, unless you're in a super flex. So at that point, you're looking at a running back or wide receiver. In the first, it really just depends on who's there. I mean, any site you go to, they have a bunch of rankings. We have rankings. Personally, I mean, I have a whole set of rankings that I usually get called crazy for, but it happens. We try and project every player out. I always have a crazy top 12 because of the fact that I don't look at the individual players. I just start with each team. I start statting everybody out, and that's what I get to at the end. And so I'm always surprised, and I try and adjust from there. But knowing where these people are in your rankings, whether it's tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3, that's another fun thing to learn. Okay, Neil, what's a tier?
So a tier, it's a good question. So I actually just had to explain this. A tier is a section of players that hold a similar theoretical value. So tiers could be done a couple different ways. You're going to see this multiple different ways. A tier could be done by position. A tier could also be done on overall rankings that you might be looking at. So an example of overall would be for Fantasy Pros, like tier 1 would be Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson. And then you would see a line that says tier 2. So there's 3 players for them that are in tier 1. What that means is those should be the first 3 players off the board, effectively. That's what the rankings outlet is trying to tell you, that based on their metrics, that should be the first 3 players that come off. And tiers get bigger the longer your draft goes. So your tier 1 is going to be a lot smaller than your tier 5, for example. It's a helpful way of grouping players so that you can stay on track in your draft when things are happening quickly, especially if you do a live in-person draft with a 2-minute clock and you don't have a lot of time to think. The tiers can be very helpful there, because if there's a player, for example, that you're seeing in tier 4 that is available, and they're the last tier 4 player, they likely should be who you select. That's likely what it is, because you should not, as a general rule, there are exceptions like anything in life, but as a general rule, you don't want to reach across the tiers. That's why the tiers are there. They're like bumpers on the bowling alley for you. So if you're still seeing players that are in tier 4 at the point in your draft, and you're looking at players that are in tier 5 because you just happen to like that person or they play for the team that you like, the general advice would be to not reach into tier 5 when there are still tier 4 things happening. That's the general rule. Well, and that applies to either overall rankings or positional rankings. You generally don't want to break the tiers. Stay within them until everyone is gone. There are times when you might, as you get more experience, there are times when you might make exceptions to that general guideline. But as a general rule, especially if you're new, stick to the tiers.
Yeah.
Stick. The tiers are your friend. They are there to help you.
One of those things is if there's going to be a long wait time between your whatever pick and the next pick, is a time that you might reach. You could see that person potentially going out, or you know your league well enough, which if you're just starting, more likely you don't.
If you're new, you won't. But it's more like, okay, I'm not going to pick again for 11 picks. If I wait 11 more picks, there aren't going to be any more like wide receivers, right? They're going to all in that tier. They're all going to be gone. Okay, take one. Like just get one if you have to. I'll give you my general rule of thumb here, because I found this was helpful the most for newer people. I'll give you how I do this. Your first 8 picks should be running backs and wide receivers. Running back, wide receiver, running back, and whatever order. Running back, running back, running back. Your first 8 picks should realistically be running backs and wide receivers. That's a general guideline. Just stack them. Just stack running backs and wide receivers for your first 8 picks. There's a more nuanced way to do this, but at a high level, if you're new especially, that's a tried and true strategy. You want running backs and wide receivers as much as you can for roughly the first 8 picks. I don't even start looking at quarterback and tight end until we get to like the 9th round. Like we get to the 9th, 10th round, I'll start looking at those positions. In general, for like, let's say you're playing in an ESPN league with standard slots, you're going to want 6 running backs, 6 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, 2 quarterbacks, a kicker, and a defense. That's what your roster should look like when you are done. That's how it should look.
Kicker and defense should be the last.
The last 2. Yeah. The absolute last 2. Okay. So as a general rule of thumb, like I'm new to this and I don't know what I'm doing, I want 8 running backs and wide receivers to lead off my draft for the first 8 rounds. That's the positions that I am targeting. I am avoiding the high-priced quarterbacks. I am avoiding the high-priced tight ends because I can always figure out tight end and quarterback later. Because in most leagues, you only play 1 tight end and 1 quarterback every week. But you play at least 2 wide receivers and 2 running backs and a flex that is likely a running back or wide receiver every week. And I need to get through buys. What's a buy, Jason?
So this happens in the NFL as well. This is where it comes in. It's a week that the players on usually 2 to 3 teams are going to be not playing. They have a week to rest, get better. Some people travel. It really depends. More often than not, it's theoretically going to be a break and happens between week 4 to 12? 5 now? Okay. I wasn't sure if it's 4 or 5 this year, but I know last year they had a couple, and so it's always and those players you will not be able to play, so you have to have another option. This is part of why waiver wire and knowing your roster and how many people you can have is very important, because you also can't put these people on bye or in IR because they are on bye. They're not hurt, so you're just kind of out of luck.
So they're just stuck on your bench
Yep.
for a week. And you probably that's where this can also get tricky. Because obviously there are some players where it's like, well, I'm not going to cut them just because they're not playing for 1 week. There's a non-zero chance that there are players at a certain point where it's like, man, I'm just cutting you. Like, you've been terrible, and now you're on bye, and I don't see that this is going to change. I'm done with you. You can go just hang out on waivers. Because the dirty little secret is when a player, if they're not a high value player, and then they're on bye, they'll probably still be on waivers for you a week after, so you can kind of game the system. It's risky. There's risk to that little move, but I would be lying if I said I don't do that to people. I've done that. I've 100% cut players that are going all by that have been underperforming and just left them out there, and then wait until after their buy is over and then go pick them up again if I need to. So that's sneaky little pro tip on that one for the buys.
Yeah.
But back to the general topic, which is, look, that's my way I do this. If I had to explain it to, like I just had to do to several people over the weekend, if I had to explain my general draft philosophy to someone that's new in a non-nuanced way, running back, wide receiver, running back, wide receiver, running back, wide receiver, running back, wide receiver, 8. And it doesn't have to be alternating like that. But I'm just saying, it's 8 rounds of running back, wide receiver, and I want 4 of each.
Yeah.
And then we can start looking at the ancillary positions, quarterback and tight end.
This is also assuming that it's 2 running back, 2 wide receiver in your lineup to start.
And a flex.
Yeah. So if
but
it goes
that's
to
most
3 wide
leagues.
receiver.
That's like I said, season to taste.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if you're playing in a standard formatting, what is in a normal formatting at this point, you're going to play 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. So our leagues, we play 2 flexes because we're not new. Well, we also we cut all the kickers, so we needed to do something. That's a whole different conversation. But yeah, in general, for most like leagues, normal people playing, and especially if you're new, you're looking at 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex every week, and that flex is likely going to be a running back or a wide receiver. So that's why I'm saying at the end of my draft, I want to be coming out of that draft with 6 running backs and 6 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, 2 quarterbacks, a defense, and a kicker. That is what I am looking for. That is the roster construction that I want when I'm walking out the door. That's a tried and true formula that is it's pretty bulletproof. It's not, nothing in life is 100% bulletproof, obviously, but it's a really solid strategy that's really hard to go wrong with, because you're going to hear, especially as you're new, you're going to hear all kinds of stuff about things like zero RB. Like if you just go online and start like trying to read through stuff, you're going to see things that say like zero RB, hero RB, and all these different things.
Draft strategies.
Don't bog down into any of that right now if you're new. That is like super confusing. That's why I'm saying like there's a tried and true strategy of just taking a lot of running backs and wide receivers, because that is what you need to be successful, and you need depth at those positions, and you can figure out tight end and quarterback, and you can kicker and defense later. And quarterback.
Yeah, it's a mess. This is part of why this is so important, because again, if you don't know, you are more often than not in trouble.
Yeah, because you're going to have some people that'll tell you, oh no, you want to make sure you get like one of the high priced tight ends. You want to make sure you get one of the, you want to make sure you get a top 5 quarterback. And there are times when that might be appropriate. But if I'm a new player, if I'm new to the game, it's not a good strategy, because you're going to have to navigate at some point not having depth at positions that you're going to need. So that's the trade-off with a lot of that. And I would stay away from anything that says zero RB on it, especially if I was new, because that is going to be extremely confusing.
Yeah, even if you're watching a lot of NFL, just because it's very different. Zero RB, for example, you're usually not taking running back until after the 6th round.
Yeah,
So
something like that. I don't condone this strategy, so
yeah,
I don't know all
I'm
the
more of a
details.
hero, and then I go tier base. But
I prefer tier-based and balanced
best available.
because that's best available and with some limited exceptions on that. But that's kind of how I prefer to do it. You're just gonna, especially if you're new, you're gonna just come out with a much more easy to manage. Your team's gonna be more fun because you're not gonna have to spend as much time managing it and thinking about all the different, like, oh god, what if this person, I've put all my eggs in the Patrick Mahomes basket, and that's the other thing is that just because there are some people, I've had to have this conversation with people that are like, I've been watching football my whole life, and I'm like, yeah, that just because you know about regular football does not mean that you know about fantasy football, because they're related inherently and they are similar. But for example, one of the things that I see that the mistake that new people make is they want Patrick Mahomes because they watch football at some level and they go, Patrick Mahomes good. Patrick Mahomes good at football. I want Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is not that good of a fantasy option. He is really good at what he does for the Chiefs. They would be a bottom 10 team in the NFL if he wasn't on that team. That's probably being nice given where they've been. But because he's on that team, they're perennially in Super Bowl. So, but that doesn't translate to fantasy points because fantasy points are all about statistics. If you don't play in points per reception, the most important stat for you, if you're not playing in a PPR or points per reception league, the most important stat for you is touchdowns. The problem with that is that touchdowns, and I can say this as someone who's been doing this for 20 years and has owned a business for 6, 7 around it, and has made this a major part of my adult life. I got a lot of experience on this. I can tell you right now, the touchdowns are functionally random. And I know that when you tell that to new people, they're like, that doesn't even, you're just insane. Nah, it's true. Like one of the hardest things to predict is touchdowns. It's nearly impossible to predict. Way smarter people than me can't predict touchdowns. Obviously, you can do some basic prediction around that area. Like, hey, is Saquon Barkley going to get touchdowns? Yeah. But how many is he going to get? Is it going to be the same as last year? No. Because there's so many things that have to go your way for all of that. Like, it's nearly impossible to predict touchdowns, which is part of why I do not recommend playing in non-points per reception formats. It's not fun. It's not as fun, I should say, because so much of what those games boil down to is who scores the most touchdowns. But if you are playing in a league and you're new to it, and they are not playing points per reception at any level, you really want to focus on touchdowns. That's what you're looking for. You are looking for the big TDs because that's how you're going to get. I'm so close to getting the hammer. Jason's distracted. He didn't even hear what I said. I wonder if I go for the second dip at it, will I actually get booted? You gotta know, like, you gotta be looking for those big TDs. That's what you're looking for in there. Whereas in PPR leagues, the most important thing, hey, he finally got it. It took him like 3 years, but it finally came across. In PPR formats, what you're looking for is receptions. How many receptions will you get? It's receptions is one, and then touchdowns is right behind it. But you can largely predict receptions a lot better than you can touchdowns. So it makes the scoring higher. It makes it more fun. It makes it easier to predict a little bit. So we usually stick with recommending PPR.
Yeah, what we know. We try and stick with what we know for sure, because PPR is definitely the best scoring format. Makes it a lot more balanced. The TDs are, like you said.
Now I got him doing it.
Yep.
Now I got him doing it. I'm having a hard day over here, and I'm trying to add levity to this.
Finally. Sorry. Been doing more than one thing, if you can't tell. So
Yeah, that's why I keep talking, because I'm watching it happen.
All right. Okay, so we've gone through some of the basic stuff. Yeah. You end this. Don't. We are still working here. Let's see. We did waivers. We talked about, okay, the end of it. When's a good time to pick a tight end or a quarterback? Since, we don't love.
Like I said, I don't start looking at those things until rounds 8, 9, 10. That's
unless somebody has dropped that you're
tremendously.
Like, two rounds, you're kind of like, oh, why is this person? Yeah.
Back to the tiers.
Yeah.
If somebody from like the tier 1 or 2 of quarterback is still available in rounds 8, 9, 10, okay, I'm taking them immediately. I might even take them in round 7 or 6 just to get them, because that's a good value at that point. There is something to be said about value, or the idea of value-based drafting, which is kind of what we're talking about and have been talking about without saying those words.
Yeah.
Put your little show sheet back up. Where's your little?
You don't worry about my show sheet. Where?
Well, you keep showing it to me. Like, I don't know what to
I
tell
know.
you.
That's why.
We've already alienated everyone that's might be possibly left in the listening audience. I feel like I'm just talking to you. So
that's why I was like, I'm trying to figure out everything else and get everything up, and it's like, well, okay. So I was trying to think of other things. I feel like we've covered most of this. We covered.
Oh God, I could go on for hours about the different terminologies like ADOT.
Yeah.
I could go on. I could talk to you, but that's going to be way too advanced for people that are just starting, which is kind of the thrust of this show. Because I could sit here and talk to you about like ADOT, what ADOT means, what is an opportunity. Like I could talk to you about all that, but that's going to be for what I would call the advanced show that we'll try to we'll do in the future. How about that? Because let's get the basics of like, we're talking about like, we've got the training wheels on the bike. You know what I mean? Like, what does PPR mean is very different than, hey, what is ADOT and how can I use it to my advantage? Hey, what's an
that's
opportunity?
looking at like advanced stats that stuff that we've been doing all off season.
That I just know, and we just know this crap from years of doing it. So, but it's like, what is an opportunity? Because if you play this game long enough, you'll hear people using the statistical term opportunity.
Yeah. Roster percentage.
Yeah, but even that's easier than what is an opportunity, what's ADOT, what's 12 personnel versus 11 personnel, what's I'm trying to think of some more off the top of my head.
Cover zero.
So it's good. We've already confused people enough. Your little show sheet says, when should you do a trade?
Yeah,
I think that's worth talking about. We're getting you ready for the draft.
That's part of the reason I have it up there, is because more often than not, you will not see me trading.
You don't do trades. I do a lot more trades than you. But the problem is that after years of doing trade content for people, and you've watched the results of that, I used to have hair. Yeah, that's all gone. What I will tell you is that most people trade too early.
Yeah.
Most people trade way too early. They get itchy. They get all itchy. And it's like watching people at the casino. Like you wonder how people lose all their money at the casino. And it's because they get antsy. And they don't stick to the plan. Like they don't stick to the plan. They get all wrapped up in trying to like optimize their roster to do something. And a lot of the time it's not even a good idea. Well, that's what's sad is.
So, and I'm sure we'll end up getting questioned sooner or later. That's part of the reason you need to make sure you're following us. But besides that, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. You need to make sure you need to do that. But the real reason is because when it comes to looking at trades, we're going to start hearing about them. For example, people you're going to have to wait on. There are players that are going to take some time to get used to playing. Those rookie running backs that you're taking early, more often than not, they're battling it out. They're still trying to learn the
Tell
game.
you right now, like RJ Harvey is not going to be the starter on day one for the Broncos, and I know how that's going to go. There's going to be all these people that are going to be on Twitter. Well, they used to call it Twitter. That are going to be like, "Brr, can't believe RJ Harvey's not starting. You ruined my whole life." And it's like, yeah, dude, you should have known that.
Yeah.
Like, you should have known that.
The signs are there.
Not only that, but they literally told you. Like, if you were paying attention, Sean Payton has already said many times, we got J.K. Dobbins so that he can go out there while R.J. Harvey learns how to play professional football. Now, eventually, J.K. Dobbins is going to give way, more than likely, to R.J. Harvey. But a lot of teams do this. Your team is doing this.
Yeah,
like
that's what I was going
the
to say.
guy
Like,
literally hurt his eye.
Yeah.
On 4th of July, and they're like, "Get out there, Najee. Go run through that wall." Like,
but even Harbaugh has said, "Hey, he's still going to be splitting. So whether it's with Harris, it's going to be Hassan, it's going to be whoever else they end up having.
You and I know that after week 1, throughout the week of week 2, on our Discord, there are going to be people, and on the Fantasy Life app, and on Twitter, and all these other places. People are going to be like, "Should I be? Oh my God, I can't believe oh no, I didn't realize it was going to be like this. And Najee was going to be doing that. Why isn't Omarion just on every play?" And I'm like, okay, first of all, I need you to understand that it's not 2005 anymore. Okay. Like, I really need you to grasp that concept for a lot of reasons. Some of them are macro that are not related to the conversation we're actually having. Okay. I'm just saying this is a general PSA to the world. I need people to understand that it's not 2005 anymore. And I'm not going to elaborate on why and get banned. I'm just going to say, I need you to know that it's 2025 and not 2005. And please pay attention, because that whole situation is like a very antiquated idea. How many true bell cow running backs are there in the NFL at this point, Jason? 2?
6?
Is it 6?
I'm thinking.
I think it's 3. Might be
Henry?
4. I might be willing to go to 4. Henry is 1. Saquon is 2.
Okay.
Bijan is 3.
Okay. Josh Jacobs.
Is that? I'll give you that because of injuries. I don't think they want it to be that way, but it is that way, so I'll give it to you. That's 4.
Jonathan Taylor. Maybe.
We're gonna see about that. That's one we're gonna see about that little idea. That's also we're gonna see. That's the idea, and I think that's probably right. So it probably will be 5.
Kyron Williams.
No, not anymore.
No. Bucky.
We'll see if it shakes out that way. No, they've already said that's never gonna happen. Bucky gets all the run. What I mean by bell cow is 3-down running back.
Oh, Chase
all
Brown.
the time. No.
You don't think he's going to have the full job?
We'll see.
We'll see.
That's why I'm saying things that I know. I think it's 4.
Okay.
I know Bijan. I know it's going to be, and even he has to deal with Algier at a certain level.
Yeah.
Remember how mad people were last year? They were getting crazy fantasy production out of Bijan, and people were foaming at the mouth for the first 3 weeks because Tyler Algier had some kind of a job for the Falcons at any point, and people were just beside themselves pissed. Like, in my mentions, like furious about this.
Yeah, but
that's the point, is that Bijan was what, kids?
Rookie.
He was a rookie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't do this anymore. So what I'm saying is, you got, like, I think it's like 4 guys that I know for sure are like bell cows, true 3-down running backs in the NFL. Whereas in like 2005, it was everybody. So that just doesn't work that way anymore. The NFL has moved on. Like, the days of the do everything true 3-down running back are like, it's few and far between, which is why they're so valuable for fantasy. Like, that's why, like, Saquon's probably going to regress from what he did last year. I hope that that's not a controversial statement. Because for him to repeat what he did last year would be
with that amount of carries
would be one of the least statistically likely things that I've ever seen. You'd have about as good of a chance of him doing what he did last year again as getting mauled by a bear and a polar bear in the same day. That's about the odds you're looking at Like it's not a high percentage type of thing. So it's like it's not a good. It's not going to happen more than likely. Will Saquon still have a great season? I think so.
Yeah, you should be okay.
Like
But you
I
have
think
to
he'll.
realize that you're not buying. I'm going to guess he doesn't finish RB1.
No, but he's not being drafted as RB1. So
And
Bijan is
RB1,
being
yes.
drafted. Well, and RB1 is not the RB1.
Yeah.
Bijan is being drafted as the RB1, and I have no counter argument to that. That's probably
Algiers
what it
still
should
there.
be.
That's like the one.
I don't care. It didn't matter last year.
Yeah,
Like in a real way, it didn't matter last year. So I don't know why anyone cares. The thing that I've been finding the most interesting is how high people are willing to go in for Genty. And that's where I can already see that coming in my future of, I can't believe they didn't give Ashton Genty every single carry. I'm going to write Pete Carroll an angry letter and I don't care if he doesn't read it. Like it's literally like that level of emotion is going to get dragged out here in about what, 3 weeks, 2 weeks? What are we at? 2 weeks?
Yeah,
2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
Next week is the official start. A week from today.
Yeah, it's Thursday.
There will be a game.
Not a week from today. It's a week from tomorrow.
Oh, today's Wednesday. Oh my gosh.
Today's Wednesday.
This week's been so long.
Yeah. So, but like I can already see the rage machine coming for the Ashton Genty crowd. But that's why it's tough, because like a lot of these guys, it's like, maybe what about? I'll tell you what. What about Alvin Kamara? Like, is Alvin Kamara is he gonna be the bell cow again?
No.
I don't know. Right? It's hard to say.
Injured. Granted, they
That's
don't
why
have
I'm
a
saying
whole
there's
lot around with him either, which doesn't
or money,
Yeah.
or money, which is also a component. But like Christian McCaffrey was a bell cow for a long time. Not anymore. Those days are over. That's why I'm saying that this always ends. I don't know that Jonathan Taylor could do another year as the full bell cow for the Colts and like finish the season. Like Kyren Williams has been doing it, but I think they know that like it's either Kyren Williams is disposable, which even with the contract extension is still on the table, or they're gonna try and work in one of the other two guys, or both of the other guys. I think a lot of people really overvalued how good they thought Blake Corum was going to be. And that's why I was telling them last year. It's like, I don't think Blake Corum's that good. I think you people are reading into something that's not there. Now, I don't feel that way about Jarquez Hunter. The most real threat to Kyren from where I'm sitting is Jarquez Hunter. So that's where I'm at, is that whole thing. I'm not, I never was, and I'm not currently a big Blake Corum guy. I get why people have got their goggles on and they're happy, but you know, I'm not for me. Because also that's also where you get into the idea of like, what does the coaching staff think? Because like, what I think only matters very little, to be honest.
Matters to you.
Matters to what matters to the people that pay to be here too.
That's fair.
At some level.
Well, yeah.
Not a lot.
My opinion only matters to me, here. But thankfully other people like to listen. So
the bigger thing is, what does Sean McVay think?
Yeah.
And Sean McVay seems to really want to give Kyren Williams the football.
Especially when you're talking about touchdowns.
Is that what I would do? Probably not. But it's what he's gonna do. And he went to the playoffs last year and he won a Super Bowl, and I got a hat and I'm talking to you. So like that's not the same thing. That's a different thing. I don't got the hairline or the teeth. Like my teeth are pretty good, but he's got better teeth.
Yeah.
I've seen what that guy looks like. It's I'd pay good money to look like that. Not a plastic surgeon version of that. I mean, to actually look like that.
Yeah, I'm not paying plastic surgeon to fix everything and make me look that. No, but
no, I want more like
genetics.
gene. I want like gene editing to just make me look like that, or possibly the teleporters from The Fly, without the horrible Fly consequences. Check out The Fly if you've never seen The Fly. If you're over 18, anyone under 18, don't watch The Fly. don't watch The Fly. You'll traumatize yourself into a coma. Don't do that. We did it all, man. We got into that's not a crappy movie, but we got into a movie take. We talked about actual fantasy football. Oh, to put a fine point on it, my rule is no trades until week 5 at the absolute earliest, and I really want to wait until the trade deadline. Because the trade deadline is where you can get deals, baby. The trade deadline is where you can do stuff. I want to wait as long as possible. I don't want to do trades early because the problem is that when you do trades early and then the people you trade for get hurt, frequently you have nowhere to go.
Because they've given up everything to have that person or player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of people really screw themselves over that way. And people hate that advice is what I've learned. They're like, you're just a coward. And I'm like, no, dude, I just can think long term. Like you need guys for later. So trading away all your depth to get a better player now is a good plan for now. But you've put a lot of eggs in this basket, and if that person goes down, you are a deep doo-doo, especially in a redraft league where you have, which is a league that redrafts every year and you don't keep any players and is not a dynasty league.
Or a keeper league.
Or a keeper league. So that's where you're at with this with that. I would wait. The earliest I'm willing to entertain this is week 5 because my argument for years has been we don't even know anything until week 5.
Yeah, I mean,
considering
start
that
looking
the
at
preseason
all the
doesn't
stuff
matter anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's nothing happens to the preseason. You don't see any real players except for maybe a quarter. Now you're looking at different schemes.
Of one game of the 3.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe.
Like you're still.
A lot of teams don't play anyone at all.
Yeah. I gotta see Hampton for a little bit and Herbert but just how it goes. But
yeah, they're not playing their starters.
Yeah. So we don't know what the defense is. Okay. Week 1, there's a lot of good matchups. Defenses aren't the same anymore. Players have changed teams. We don't know how healthy everybody is.
Defenses change more than anything else in fantasy football year on year on year. That is the hardest thing. That is the hardest thing that is worth predicting to try and predict. Because the hardest thing to predict is kickers, but that's a fool's errand. Don't worry about that. That's stupid. That's just a waste of time. Like I've wasted way more of my life than I care to admit trying to figure out kicker metrics and projections that have historical relevance year on year. It does not matter. It's just such a waste of everyone's time. The defense thing is worth it. But what we learned and what other outlets have confirmed is that is the hardest thing to figure out because the personnel changes so much and the coaching staffs change.
Mentality changes. If a captain goes down, the mood of the team changes. They don't know who's stepping up, how that's going to change.
You're a mood.
Not wrong. I'm always, but yeah. So again, these are things.
Hey, I lied. I'm glad I stayed. I found a better joke. It took 2 hours, but I got there. Just keep swinging, and eventually you get there.
One of them a hit. Yikes.
Yeah.
But again, it's just one of those things that you have to watch. We get more data as the season goes on because we see, okay, this team can't stop the run. So guess what? I'm going to raise whoever is playing that team's running back way up. Like these are things that if most analysts will tell you, thankfully it's whatever. You can listen to any podcast to figure that out. But they will say, hey, I like this guy. It might not be the best running back, but the reason they're picking him is because that week they have a great matchup. They've noticed that their carries are increasing, their targets are whatever. They're on the field more. All these things kind of contribute to this player and the success. But them playing against a defense that can't stop the run, more often than not, that team is going to also know that and hand that ball off early and often. So, and again, it's all dependent on how good teams' defenses are. That's a big part of this game is just watching and listening to whatever expert you want to, whatever rankings you want to, but you really have to kind of lock in because waivers are important. You have to, more often than not, there's going to be injuries week in and week out. You don't want the best players going to another team that is already stacked. It'd be a lot more beneficial to have that player on your team and be able to potentially, again, either you lose a player or you're able to trade them when it comes closer to week 5, week 6. If you realize that you're set for now and you have depth, could easily make a big trade and make it worth any number of options for you, and it's beneficial to be constantly working the waiver wire, not just letting it stay stagnant. If you have a player that's underperforming, that's okay, especially if they're a rookie early on, but you have to be watching for sure. So.
All right, so last thing, and then we're going to wrap this up and we're going to get out of here. And I appreciate everybody coming to our lovely little kind of kickoff show / totally not stress testing our new streaming setup before the season starts show. If you've made it this far,
congrats.
You are a super fan, and I will buy you a beer should I ever run into you in the real world. Even if we're at the hospital, I'll find a beer. And buy it. The what is the most important thing about fantasy football, Jason? Are you sticking with overall team management like you kind of laid out there?
Well,
like proactively monitoring the waiver wire and participating? Is that kind of, because it's not that's a valid way to go about it to.
Yeah, I mean, it's you have. Okay, for example, for me, I like, and I know you have leagues that are long-standing too, but while it is important to be constantly working, you also need to make sure that you're doing with friends and kind of building that community. Like, that's the important thing to me, is like, I want to build a community. That's part of the reason we do this, is because I like the people that we get to interact with. I like interacting with, clearly, you and all of the people who end up showing up here every Thursday, Friday, whatever.
Dr. Squatch.
Yeah, all of our normal people.
The Daniels.
Yeah. So, while it is important to win, working the waiver wire, doing all that is great. It really helps expand your knowledge. You're able to talk it gives you something to talk about. But yeah, as a player, as a manager, you're kind of focusing on constantly working, but you have to remember it's for fun and it's with people that you care about. That's the whole reason for it. You're trying to build that community and get closer. So for me, that's it. But I'd like to hear what you have for what is the most important.
You went about that in a very different way. I took the question differently than that. So like the question as you answered it means, what is the most important thing about fantasy football as like a concept? I was taking it as like, what is the most important thing to remember if you're a new person trying to crack into fantasy football?
That's fair.
So, because that's the thrust of the show. So to answer that question, the thing that I would say is the most important thing if you're new is, and I hate to beat the dead horse, but it's understanding the format that you play in before you draft. That is the most important thing, because if you screw that up, the chances of you succeeding after that are zero. Yeah, like you literally cannot succeed if you don't know the rules. So learning the rules is critical. And I've seen so many people that just wander in to a new league,
yeah,
and they just go to the draft and they're like, okay, we're just going to draft. And I'm like, what is this, a PPR league? Like, what are we doing? And they're like, oh. And I'm like, well, you ain't winning that. So you're just going to donate money to your friends, which is fine. Because I agree with what Jason's saying about the community. That's why playing with your friends is so much more fun than playing with strangers. Because playing with friends, especially people you've known for a long time, it gets personal. And that's when the game becomes fun. Because that's when you can trash talk people, and that's when they can trash talk you, and that's when you can kind of you because they're your friends. Like, everybody gives each other a little bit of crap. It's like it's entertaining. It adds to the game. There are rivalries that develop. Like, it's just like real football in that way. That's the most fun aspect of fantasy football. That's the reason I would stay around. The other way to skin this, and what's also important, and why I would say it's worth doing besides that, is if you're good at this, there's a non-insignificant amount of money that you can pull in. So like every year I rake in some money on the side that has nothing to do with what we're doing here right now, right? Just winnings from the various leagues. And I cannot tell you, Jason, the last time I had to reach into my own pocket to pay for fantasy football. Like, I have like a kitty, basically, right? It's like a fund. And whenever I win, I just dump money into it. You know, like the money, some of the winnings just goes in there. So that way, if I don't win, all right, well, I've paid for next year. I've probably got fantasy football paid for the next like 3 years at this point. And that's with some of the money coming out to like go to dinner or do whatever I want to do with it. You know what I mean? Like it's funny money. It's not life changing or anything, but it is worth taking it seriously because yeah, you're not going to win every year. But I mean, if you play in a couple leagues and you get good at this, like you can create a nice little think of it like a Christmas bonus. Like every year you get a little Christmas bonus, pays for some bills, helps you out, makes it takes takes some of the sting out of life. You know what I mean? Like well, that sucked, but hey, I won my fantasy league this year. I won one of them, and I got probably for most leagues a couple $100, and it's like all right, cool. Well, that paid for the other leagues, and there's some money left over beside that, so we just put that. Here's the seed money for next year for the leagues. Put that off to the side. I get the rest, and we just keep going. And it's like I haven't reached into my own bank account that isn't my little fantasy football fund, God, in like years to pay for any of this. So there is that benefit to it if you stick with it and you get good. But I agree with Jason as at the higher level than money, than just money. It's the this is such a cliche, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's funny. The real treasure is the friends you make along the way. To quote every bad high school book report. That's the real lesson is the real treasure is the friends you make along the way. That's really what keeps you coming back. Because money's money and it'll be gone before you know it if life has its say. But that's what it is. But as for a new person, I swear to you, it's like anything. Garbage in, garbage out. So if you don't do the prep work in the beginning, your odds of succeeding later on go way down. And you can spend all the time in the world learning about like
that we say every year when it comes to drafting. It's you don't win at the draft, but you can definitely lose.
You sure can lose. Yeah. Yeah. You can't win exactly. That's an old Matthew Berryism.
Yeah.
You can't win your league at the draft, but you absolutely can lose. So that's the big thing where it's important to do the homework before the draft. It's very important. And it doesn't have to be this long involved process. A lot of people get hung up on them like, oh, I don't have time. And it's like, dog, take an hour. Get your phone. Scroll through the settings. Take some rankings. I don't care if they're mine or Jason's or from this platform or if you're playing on ESPN. Just grab the ESPN rankings and just scroll through them. Like just familiarize yourself with the rankings and the settings on your thing. And this is the last thing that I'm going to say. The other thing that's really important is maybe not the most important, but it's very important. And we didn't talk about it. Whatever platform you play on, I guarantee you that platform has rankings that they publish. When you go to your draft, that's what gets preloaded into the draft room is their rankings.
Yeah.
That's why I recommend looking at their rankings and then comparing them to other people. If you really want to get an A, you really want to get an A+, you take those rankings and you compare them to other people's rankings. And then you start forming your own opinions on who you like and what you want to do. Because that's the other thing that we didn't talk about, Jason. Because we get this a lot. You get this even more than me, which is like a high bar. And I'm just going to say this. We get a lot of questions. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this? And when it's a coin flip, because there are times where I'm going to literally tell you, yo, it's a coin flip. In that, what I will always tell you is do what makes you happy. Because it's your team. I can tell you whatever. I'll give you my opinion. But at the end of the day, it's your team. You have to live with it. You have to have these memories like and remember them like largely forever. Because Jason, we talk about this every year, especially come trade deadline time when we get into trade talk, where it's like people ask us questions and I'll be like, look, that's one of those things that if I do that, I'm never going to be able to live with myself. Like, especially when we're trying to set playoff rosters for people and they want to go with like the crazy waiver wire pickup over their established starter. And I'm sitting there like, yo, I can't do that. And then if I lose and then like live with the memory of that, because I will hate myself if I do this. So there's things like that that come to mind. So
For sure. And so, again, I will say more often than not, nobody's ever going to be perfect. So if it's go with your gut, that's usually a good kind of, oh, I don't think I can do it, then you shouldn't. But if you think you can and that's what you're wanting to do, you should. Saw this from YouTube. Aiden says, "Prove me wrong. Bucky Irving is not a good round 2 pickup." So I didn't realize he was going that high. I mean,
yeah, Bucky is going at like 20 overall.
wow,
Yeah.
that is expensive.
Well, I mean, what do you want?
I know.
He's gonna be the first and second down. There were people in the chat this whole time.
Well, I saw one.
Okay.
Otherwise,
I
it's
can't
been
see the
Steve
chat.
and
So
Royce.
one of the things is I can't see the chat.
Yeah.
So like that's something we gotta. Well, don't do it now because it's not worried about. But I can't prove him wrong. Is the thing. I think that's right.
Yeah, it's
I think
expensive.
that's a right thing. It's expensive, but I think it's correct.
Yeah.
Because, okay, let's look at the players that are going around him in PPR. Would you rather have, he's going at 20 overall, would you rather have Bucky Irving or Josh Jacobs?
Jacobs.
Bucky Irving or JSN?
You know I have. You saw my rankings. I have JSN higher.
You think I've memorized them?
Yeah,
like,
know.
I
guess
barely
that's
know what
fair.
my own
It's
name
early.
is half the time.
It's early. I guess that's fair.
Like, where do you have Bucky Irving then? Just show me on the doll.
So he's my RB12.
Yeah, but that's not helping me. I mean, I'm doing overall here.
Dun, dun, dun.
That looks like quarterbacks.
It's everything because this is by point. So.
Oh, total points.
Yeah.
Your process is so confusing. I don't understand how you. I've never understood how you do this. It doesn't
bite at a time.
Any freaking sense to me at all.
So that's why I say it's RB. He's my RB12.
Yeah, again, that doesn't help me. You know what? I can make that work actually. Now that I think about it, hang on, I'll show. So he's consensus RB9. If that helps you.
Golly.
And I am fine with that because the people going ahead of him are Bijan, Gibbs, Barkley, McCaffrey, Genty, Achane, Henry, Chase Brown, and that's it.
Okay.
Others that are close, you're talking about Jacobs, Taylor, Williams. I can tell you right now, there's no universe where I would even get close to putting Kyren Williams and Bucky Irving in the same sentence. I'm not super bullish on Jonathan Taylor this year. Jacobs is pretty close. Jacobs is close.
I just have moved Taylor up because of it being Daniel Jones, and I'm expecting a lot of passing work for him.
I am just really genuinely concerned that this is the year that Jonathan Taylor's knee finally explodes.
That's fair.
That's kind of where I've gotten to with him, where it's like he's had injury stuff in the past. It's not like I would call him injury prone or anything, but he's had some injury stuff going on in the background in the past, and he's had a huge workload, and they're gonna run him into the ground this year because they're gonna have to, because there's people's jobs are on the line. You know what I mean? So they're gonna try and win these games, and they're gonna need him. So I could not tell you that I cannot prove you wrong. I am fine with Bucky Irving going in the second round. I am good with that. That's fine with me. It's near the end of the second round is where I would start looking at him, but I am good with that. I have no problem with that.
All right, and then Royce
in non PPR, I actually have him even higher.
Oh, okay.
It's touchdowns.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's all about touchdowns. So it's like, who's going to score more touchdowns than Bucky Irving? Not that many people. He's going to have all the goal line work on a team that's going to move the ball, whose defense is going to suck again. that has all their wide receivers hurt. We haven't even started the season yet.
whatever. Evans is going to be fine. All right. But more importantly, let's get to Royce because he's somehow stuck through all of this. Thank you so much.
He's still here?
Yeah.
How are you still here? All right.
He has a 12-man
Well, damn,
keeper
now
league
we got to
question.
answer his question. Okay, hang on.
He
It's
gets to keep
tiny
one
on my
player.
screen.
Jamar Gibbs, you have to give up the first round, or keep Bucky Irving, give up a 7th round pick for a 2nd round value. 7th pick.
I got to read.
Yeah, I'm not quite
That
understanding.
didn't make any sense, what you just said. So let me read this.
I'm like,
The PPR. Can you make that bigger?
yeah, I can. I was just.
PPR 12-man keeper league question. Keeping only one player. So you keep Jamar Gibbs and you give up a first-round pick. Oh, I see what he means. Oh, Bucky Irving.
Okay, that's kind of what I was getting at
That's
too.
what,
Like,
no,
that seems
that's
like
what
a
I
massive,
would do, because he's keeping. Okay, so what he's saying is he could keep Gibbs for a first rounder, which is where he's being drafted. That's what
Yeah,
he means by
so
first round value.
More likely, you're getting.
So
well, depending on where
you're getting a good player, but you're paying full retail. But he can keep Bucky.
Oh, as a 2nd
If
round.
I'm on. Bucky's going in the 2nd round. Why does it say 7th round? Because it says you could give up a 7th round pick for a 2nd round value.
Yeah, because I'd much
So
rather
that's
do that.
why that's what I'm saying. I would 100% do that. If I could keep Bucky Irving in the 7th round, that's the easy question.
Yeah.
Like that's like the easiest question I've had all day.
Yeah, because you're getting.
But now I'm not understanding what he
RB1,
just-
RB2.
But what does he mean
for-
by Bucky value is 2nd round? Does
So
that
right
mean,
now he is like this year.
Yeah,
he's-
well,
but-
if what we're saying is his actual ADP value is 2nd round, then yes. But I need to know what his keeper value is in your league. I think I'm understanding your question
yeah,
correctly.
it seems
which
like
is
you're giving up your 7th round
he's
for
a
him.
7th round keeper value.
Yeah.
But he's a 2nd round ADP, and that's
Yeah,
an easy.
so that's something
if
you would
that's
want.
how that works, that's easy. I would do that all day.
Yes. So
Yeah,
if you get
so
to
you're
keep him in
keeping
that
him-
round, perfect.
If you're that's what I would do. I would keep Bucky Irving. That's my plan.
Yeah.
It hurts to throw Gibbs back, but you're paying full retail at that point. You can
Yeah.
redraft him if you want.
Or you can get somebody else that's going to be
Someone comparable.
okay. All right, perfect, Royce. We were confused because the wording just. So you got him in the 7th round.
Yeah, and
last
also
year,
it's
this year.
in all caps, which is
Yeah.
also slightly throwing me off.
Well, it wasn't. I think he
It
was
wasn't,
trying to-
but it is now, and that's
Yeah.
where I'm like, why are you yelling at me? Like, I'm sorry I made you wait, but this isn't our normal show.
yeah.
I think we were pretty open
2
about
weeks.
the idea that this is kind of a stress test for our new streaming setup, and that's why we picked a
Not
topic
super.
that. What's that?
It's didn't work out great, but we're going to work on it throughout
Well,
this.
it's getting better.
Yeah.
It's getting better. It didn't start off good. That's why we also picked a topic that That's why we also picked a topic that we kind of figured a lot of people that our audience wouldn't care, so that we could kind of work on this in the background. Normal service will resume, I assure you, but we had to change our entire streaming platform around in the off season, and it's a nightmare. The joys of running a small business, they never end. They never end. There's always something to do.
Yeah.
Damn government wants its damn taxes. Damn streaming company wants its damn money.
Yeah, it was
Want their-
ridiculous. There's no way we're going to pay that.
The people that we used to work with for our streaming platform hiked our bill like 33% over the course of a year. And that's before all this tariff nonsense and inflation junk that is in the news every day started again. That was in like the beginning of the year, before any of this crap. And they wanted a 33% uplift. And I'm like, you people are out of your minds. I'm not giving you that. So we had to build a new thing, and that's what we're working the kinks out, because nobody wants us to be doing this on week 1, when it matters.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really not looking forward to the first show is going to be The Wire on Mondays. And I'm like, man, I'm not ready for that.
But you'll have Steve helping you clack on the keys for that. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Okay. We can be.
We're gonna get out of here.
Yeah,
I gotta
good idea.
go. So I actually needed to go like 30 minutes ago. So I don't have anywhere to be. I just need to eat something before I pass out. So I need to go. Because this is going on way too long. This is going on way longer than I ever anticipated. We did lose about an hour before we even started
Yeah, trying to figure
because
all
we were
this
just
out. So
monkeying around with this. So there
Sorry.
is that component. No, it's fine. I knew what I was signing up for when you asked me if I wanted to do this. I understand your ulterior motive. I ain't that dumb. My eyes and ears are not decorative.
well, again, I wanted to make sure that I was bringing you back in slowly and be like, hey, need to start getting back into the fantasy football mind here.
I've been paying attention in the background of fantasy football. I got all my dynasty leagues are done. I'm doing a slow draft right now while we're talking.
Ooh.
Who do you like? Who do you like? I got I'm picking in the 9th round here. I got David Njoku I could pick. I got Khalil Shakir. I got some Josh Downs. Full PPR. The way this draft is working, it's a keeper league. So I kept Saquon because
nice.
yeah, I had a choice between Saquon and Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I've played in this league for 20 years and I know how it works. And the running backs go quick because that's these people. So I kept Saquon instead of Amon-Ra, despite the fact that it's PPR, where normally I'd probably lean towards the wide receiver. But it's like, nah, if I let Saquon go, he's never coming back. So I got Saquon, and then I got Chase Brown in the 2nd. That's just the way it shook out. I'm not thrilled about that. It's just the way it worked.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'll live.
Yeah.
It's fine. But then I got Garrett Wilson in the 3rd.
Ooh.
I got DK Metcalf in the 4th.
Good value.
I got David Montgomery in the 5th. Waddle in the 6th, which is pretty good value for Waddle.
I like
actually.
Waddle
That's
there.
why I took him.
Especially with Hills.
I don't want him any earlier than that. But in the when we get to the 6th round, it's like, all right, sure, why not? Like,
yeah.
And he's my 3rd wide receiver. It's like, all right, I can live with this. And then I got Diggs in the 7th. And then I got Myers, Jacoby Myers in the 8th. That's a steal.
Yeah,
that was a steal.
If he stays.
But I don't think they're going to get rid of him because the only team that actually reached out about that wanted the Raiders to pick up some of his contract, and the Raiders were like, I am not doing this. I don't even want to get rid of him. Like, I think they're going to make him play this last year, and he's going to do it because when push comes to shove, he wants a new contract. Whether it's with the Raiders or somewhere else, he's got to put out tape.
Yeah.
Sucks for him, but that's the reality of the NFL. So I'm like, okay, well, also, by the way, 8th round as my 5th wide receiver in a PPR league. I'm good with this at this point. And then my other keeper was Drake May in the 18th round.
Oh, nice. I like that a lot.
So I kept Drake. Yeah, I got him off waivers last year intentionally. So
for this exact reason.
That is literally why, because I got eliminated in the playoffs. I made the playoffs last year, got eliminated, and then blew the last of my fab budget with my final waiver claim on Drake May. I just roasted whatever I had left into Drake May, and I got him. And I'm like, this was the reason. This was the entire, because I can keep him for the literal minimum, which is an 18th round pick. So I have 3 running backs, I have 5 wide receivers, and I have a quarterback. My choices are David Njoku, Khalil Shakir, Josh Downs, Godwin, Ramondre Stevenson, or Cam Skattebo.
I mean, you really need running back help, but I don't really like any of those.
The problem is that it only gets worse from there. It literally
dropped off the cliff.
If you can believe it, after Ramondre Stevenson and Cam Skattebo, we literally end that tier and go into the next tier. And that tier, I will read you some names from the next tier. Rashad White, Braylon Allen, Najee Harris, Tajay Spears, who's on IR, Trey Benson, Joe Mixon, Ray Davis, Jaden Blue, Jerome Ford, Bashal Tootin, Dylan Sampson. I want to talk to Sampson. Tyler Algier, and Rico Dowdle.
Yeah.
So there's a couple names that I could live with on that list that I'm okay with. I don't hate Najee Harris.
Yeah, Braylon
I
is
don't
another one that I'm kind of.
I don't hate Braylon.
Yeah,
I don't hate Trey Benson.
but you can
If
always
I
get
could
him later.
if I could live with Joe Mixon on the on my IR, I got 2 IR slots by the way.
Yeah.
If I could get Mixon, I could dump him in my IR slot but I'm talking about my 4th running back, not my 5th running back. Those are 5th running back names, not 4th running back names.
Yeah.
So I hate this. I have the because I have this. I was actually very happy about having the Drake May Diggs stack. I know that sounds stupid,
No,
but
makes
I
sense.
did it, and I'm like, yo, I kind of like that. Like, it's kind of a nice little stack. It's like I'm good with this.
And it's something you
Like,
can do pretty easily. Like that's
yeah. So I'm like, I'm cool with this. I'm gonna live with it. So it's like for me, what I'm strongly leaning towards is Ramondre. As there's risk with that
yeah.
because it's Ramondre, and if he fumbles the football one more time, he's literally going to get fired out of a cannon into the sun by whoever is running that team these days. So there's that. There is that potentiality, and also he doesn't catch any passes, and this is a PPR league, so that kind of sucks. But there was a little mini run on running back right before it came back to me, and I kind of got dicked over because I had my eye on Austin Eckler, and he went 2 picks before I came back up. And I was like, God damn it. That
Yeah.
was my whole plan.
That's
My
rough.
whole plan was to take Austin Eckler as my 4th running back, and I was going to change my team name to Team Old Man because all of my players are old. And it's like I was going to be Team Old Man, and I was going to put the old man from Family Guy as my that was what I was. It's not an appropriate thing to do, but it's very much what I was going to do. So that's off the table now. So I get to make a choice. Obviously, Khalil Shakir and Josh Downs as my as one of those is my wide receiver 6. Much more attractive, especially as much as you know how much I love Josh Downs.
Yeah.
Especially you know how much I love Josh Downs with the idea of Daniel Jones being his quarterback. What did he just do to Wan'Dale Robinson?
Yeah.
He made Wan'Dale Robinson fantasy relevant, baby. Like you can't. It's not that simple. Obviously, we can't paint with that broad of a brush. But
Well, it's the same issue
that's
with
what the-
Shakir. Shakir's going to be
that-
the same thing.
Right,
They're the
that's
same player on different
justification.
teams.
Right, exactly. So that's where. But I already have 5 pretty good wide receivers, and there are other wide receivers that are still available that I can get later, like Cedric Tillman or
Yeah.
Luther Burden, as my 6th wide receiver, or your boyfriend Adam Thielen, or your other boyfriend Keenan Allen, or your other boyfriend Trey Harris, or my boyfriend Jaden Higgins.
Didn't I get?
I like
Higgins?
Jaden. I like Jaden Higgins.
Me too.
But
again, we'll see how that works out.
So that's yeah. But it's my 6th wide receiver.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
So you have to go on Njoku, is what you're telling me.
What's that?
You have to go on Njoku. Unless there's just like not a massive drop off between him and the next person.
So David Njoku is the last tight end available in tier 2, but you know how much I hate tight end. And so it's very hard for me to want to take David Njoku.
But you just talked about how much depth there is at all the other positions, and if he's the end of the tier.
If I wait until the next tier at tight end, I could still get like Jake Ferguson or Colston Loveland or Dallas Goedert. Like, I know it's not as good, but if I don't take one of these running backs, I feel like I'm really screwed. Like, that's kind of where we're at, where it's like, yeah, neither one of those guys really floats my boat here. Like, but they're the last of tier 5 for me at running back. And I really don't like tier 6 for my 4th running back here. So I'm really kind of picking between. I've almost talked myself into Ramondre because that's the devil I know.
Yeah.
But I don't like the idea of having 3 Patriots, even though like none of them are starting. Like none of them. Diggs probably isn't starting on a week-to-week basis for me.
Might be.
I doubt it. It's probably going to be Saquon, Chase Brown, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, and then it'll be Montgomery and Waddle. But
No, I was talking about
there
May.
is. Well, May's my quarterback, but what I'm saying is Diggs. Diggs,
Yeah.
I'm probably not playing the stack week to
Oh,
week.
yeah, yeah.
I'm probably gonna play. There'll be some weeks where I do it, but I'm gonna get another quarterback as well.
Oh, okay.
I need two. I'm not just gonna only roll out there with Drake May. My balls are pretty big, but they're not that big.
That's how I roll, baby.
You'd need a wheelbarrow. Like you'd be Randy. You'd be Randy from that episode of South Park if your balls are that big that you have just Drake May. I'm gonna get another quarterback eventually.
I cut and drop
I'm just gonna
quarterbacks with
wait on
nothing.
that too. I've almost talked myself into Ramondre. Talk me into Cam Scattaboo. I don't like Cam Scattaboo, for the record. I'm not a Scattaboo person.
I mean, the talent is definitely there, but again, you're looking at a player that is splitting. He has to learn. It's the Giants.
I just didn't like him that much in college. A lot of people are like, he's such a hard runner, and I'm like, he's playing at Arizona State, man. And I've been hoodwinked into this before by Arizona State. Thank you, Rashad White.
Yeah,
both
he's
great idea
against
and terrible idea,
Tyrone
Rashad
Tracy.
White. What's that?
But he's really going up against Tyrone Tracy. That's like the one.
The one I know. That's what's attractive. Is because it's like, is Tyrone Tracy that good? Not really. He put up numbers last year because he was the only guy left. He's fine, but he also has fumbling issues. And I think they're going to want to give Cam Scattaboo. The problem I have with Cam Scattaboo more than anything is, and we're going to get into this as the season goes on. But do you remember what I used to say about Damian Harris? You remember Damian Harris?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you remember what I used to say about Damian Harris? If he's going to play like that, he's going to be really good in the NFL briefly.
Yeah. Like Tyjae Spears.
And that's what I've seen. What I say about Tyjae Spears is Tyjae Spears is here for a good time, not a long time.
It's the same thing.
Because he has no ACLs. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. They're different expressions for a reason. Good time, long time. Good. No, it's not. Good time, long time. In the case of Spears, is about how he has no ACLs in his knees, and he's eventually going to have no knees left. The difference with Damian Harris and Cam Scattaboo is those guys don't avoid contact. They run into people. They are trying to knock the defender out of the way, and you can do that in college. Not many people can do that in the NFL, and the guys that try usually get away with it for a couple years, and then they're out of football. And where's Damian Harris? Out of football. How many years did Damian Harris play? Like 3, 4, 5, maybe 5, and then done. Because he never figured out how to not avoid contact. And I watch Cam Scattaboo play, and I see how he runs, and I'm like, he looks like Damian Harris. He's looking to go through you. And it's like he's going to learn in the NFL at some point that, like, you can't do that. You have to be able to run around people and away from people. You cannot have a long-term career in the NFL trying to battering ram through people. You will eventually get killed if you do that. So what do you think?
I mean,
you going with Njoku in my situation? I know you're going with Njoku.
Yeah, probably. But again, it's just because end of the tier. I really don't like any of the other names that you said. Granted,
I don't either. I don't either. And even I'm sort of freaked out by Njoku.
Yeah, the only thing he's going to be good for as long as Flacco's there.
Right, there's that, and also when he himself inevitably gets hurt.
Yeah.
Because it's David Njoku. And David Njoku doesn't play the whole season ever. And now they got the kid, Harold Fannin.
Yeah, so you just back it
up. The kid might actually be able to play. I'm not sure. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I have him both pretty high because I'm expecting.
I saw his tape during the Dynasty pre-draft process. I watched Harold Fannin tape a little bit, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, there's something there.
Yeah, like he can play
in a decent
football.
situation.
He can play football. He looks like and then you'll notice they didn't re-sign David Njoku.
Yeah.
And then they were asked about that, and they were like, huh. We drafted a tight end and didn't re-sign the guy. Huh, weird. So that doesn't super matter for redraft, but that's what gives me heartburn on the whole Njoku thing, where it's like I don't even want to deal with it. That's where I'm like, I've almost talked myself into Ramondre because of all the names. I don't like it. We're at the point where there's holes in everything. I don't like it, but I don't really like the Njoku thing that much. It's not really for me. if it was me and I was really doing it, I would just take Josh Downs and just slam it, and we would have been done forever ago.
Yeah, I know.
But
That's why I thought
can't-
that was what you were
I
going to say you're
can't,
doing
I
no matter
can't,
what.
I can't really justify that at this point in time. I really need a running back more than I need my wide receiver 6.
Okay. And that's what
I
I was
just
saying.
hate-
That's why I was asking who was
Yeah.
there. But man,
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's
Not
what I'm
great.
saying. But it's awful. But it's awful. It's Stevenson. It's Scadaboo. Even you don't want Najee Harris.
yeah,
He,
I think
He's
he's.
on
I
your-
think. I think he's going to be fine. But again, if you have the chance for upside and he's not going to be somebody starting for you, I'd rather shoot for somebody who has more potential than Najee Harris.
that's why I keep coming back to Scadaboo.
Yeah.
Because of all the things that we've named, with the possible exception of Njoku, I guess, Scadaboo has the highest ceiling. Because he could be basically the starting running back for the Giants.
He could even be a boat.
Right. Whereas Ramondre Stevenson we learned last year that Ramondre Stevenson at this point is a lot closer to getting cut than he is to being the starting running back of anything.
Yeah. More likely to be fired.
We got burned by that. I shouldn't say we. I got roasted by that. Not so much in terms of my own fantasy teams, but in terms of like recommendations. Because the thought process was correct.
Yeah, I mean, it
But
definitely
that
made
was
the most-
all-
a lot of sense.
That
It's
was
just-
all predicated upon him not fumbling the ball 5 times. And see, that's where he let me down. He let me down pretty significantly in that department. And it really kind of pissed me off, to be honest. Because I stuck my neck out on the show many times for Ramondre, and he just kept puking on his shoes. And that's where I'm like, I am
I made a
getting angry.
mistake.
getting angry, Ramondre. No, because he had the world's easiest schedule. And I'm like, and he had all the volume in the world. So again, the thought process is correct. Volume plus easy schedule is usually a sure path to victory. And he failed at that. And it's like makes me not want to trust you in the future. Because you couldn't do simple stuff. All right. Well, all right. I appreciate the input here. I'll let you know. We'll
Okay.
see where it goes to. Ladies and germs, I'm out of here. Pleasure as always. Get ready for it. I got a ton of terrible movie recommendations. I got so many terrible movie recommendations you ain't even never heard of. I got so many this year.
Whoa. However, for something that's not horrible, have you been watching this season of Twisted Metal?
No.
Oh, baby.
No, I
Whew.
haven't been paying attention to anything like that.
Let's go. It's so good.
I've heard from other people that are not just you that it's actually gotten pretty good.
I'm loving it, man.
Um,
It's so good. But yeah, okay, sorry.
But no, let's get out of here. I got to go heat up some enchiladas.
All right.
That's,
Well, with that,
that's
thank you
what's
guys so
happening
much
here.
for dealing with our nonsense. We appreciate y'all.
Thank you for coming to what was totally not a stress test for our new system.
As everything
Um,
burned.
All right. We will be back with you here in the next 2 weeks. So get ready for it.
See you.
Get locked in. Oh wait, we don't do that anymore.
Strong.